What's good, people? Wanted to make this quick reaction video to a somewhat of a blockbuster trade that completely changes my thought process on this draft. So, Sam Darnold, the incumbent starter for the New York Jets, the former third overall pick, and I think it was the 2018 NFL draft, is being traded to the Carolina Panthers for a second and fourth of next year and a sixth round pick this year. So I love this move for Carolina. In my mock draft, I don't see one of the top four quarterbacks being there at 8 for Carolina. And maybe this move solidifies that. I think the first two picks are obvious. I think Trey Lance is the pick still at 3 for San Francisco. And 4, Atlanta could very well take a quarterback, but I also see them, if they do decide to trade down, I see a team like Denver maybe coming up and taking Justin Fields. So I don't expect one of those 4 quarterbacks to be there for the Panthers at 8. So this makes a lot of sense. You get Sam Darnold. You don't give up any draft capital this year other than the 6th round pick, which, So you can use those assets to build around Sam Darnold. They did lose Curtis Samuel, which is a big blow, I believe. They added 2, at best, replacement level starters in, I think it was Cam Irving and Pat Elflein. I really don't understand why they signed those guys, because they're not very great. So I still think they need line help. But with this move, they could go in multitude of directions. They could address offensive line, whether that be Rashawn Slater or an outside shot at Penei Sewell. I don't think he'll be there, but crazier things have happened. You never know. They could go receiver. Again, I don't think Jamar Chase will be there. Whether that receiver is Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle or someone else. They could still trade down. I could still see them trading down. With a team like Washington, like I predicted in my mock draft, or maybe Chicago comes up and one of them tries to get Mac Jones if he's there, or by some miracle Justin Fields drops to number 8. With Sam Darnold now, I think they picked up the 5th-year option of Sam Darnold as well, which is $18 million guaranteed, so they're not taking a quarterback anymore. So if somehow Justin Fields falls to 8, a team could try and hop over Denver, which is picking at 9, to take Justin Fields, and they could get a king's ransom from that. So they have a ton of moves, a ton of leeway now with that 8th overall pick, whereas before I was it felt like they were, put into a corner. So I love this move for Carolina. Now as for the Jets, man, they have so many draft picks. It's kind of crazy. So this solidifies they're taking a quarterback at 2, which is probably Zach Wilson. That's what everybody's been saying for, feels like the last month or so. Maybe even more than that. So with all these draft picks now, they have the ability to get this thing going fast. They can build around Zach Wilson. I like the free agency additions that they've made, particularly 2 of them in the Titans receiver, Corey Davis and Carl Lawson, underrated pass rusher from Cincinnati. Added those 2 guys. Sheldon Rankins, bringing him into this Robert Saleh defense. I think this defense for the Jets is going to be ferocious. And offensively, they have another first-round pick in this draft as well, so they could add maybe a tackle, maybe Tevin Jenkins if he's there, maybe a Christian Darrisaw, or they could go receiver as well, add more receiving help to Zach Wilson. They have so much capital to build around Zach Wilson and get this thing going. Now, the division is monstrous. You have the Bills, who I think returned almost every starter that they had last year. I think the only one was John Brown that's not returning. So you got them. They're going to be a tough out for anybody. You have the New England Patriots. I made a video about them. I think they're going to be right back in the thick of things in this playoff hunt. And then Miami went 10-6 last year. Like, they barely missed the playoffs. So, I'm not gonna say the Jets will make the playoffs next year. I feel like that's overly ambitious, but I do think they're gonna be way better than they were last year. So I can't wait to watch them. When's the last time you couldn't wait to watch the Jets? Like, and so I like this. I like this trade for both teams. I'm very curious to see what both do in the draft now. Other than the Jets picking at 2, I feel like that's obvious. But outside of that, both teams have the capital to build around their young quarterbacks now. As for Carolina's division, like, they're also in a tough division. I wouldn't say quite as tough. Although, I mean, they have the Super Bowl champions in there, of course. Tampa Bay is definitely going to be the top team to beat. I don't see any team in that division beating Tampa. The Saints, I mean, they lost a lot of talent. They did, including Drew Brees, obviously, retiring. But I'm not willing to bet against Sean Payton until he shows that, like, all right, he's down in the toilet, So I do think the Saints are still going to be better than the Panthers, and I think Atlanta might be better than them too. I know they're picking higher in this draft, but you're adding in Arthur Smith, who's a darn good offensive mind. One of my favorite offensive minds from last year. So I think Matt Ryan's going to have a resurging year. I think he's going to be back. I think this offense is going to be fantastic. I think the running game, which has been lacking, they added, what was his name? I think Mike Davis it was, the guy who filled in for Christian McCaffrey last year in Carolina. I think that's a very underrated move. And I do expect them to add a running back in the draft as well. So this running game is going to be back. I think Atlanta, right now, I would pick them to have a better record than Carolina. So Carolina still might be the 4th best team in their division, but this is a good step. And we still have to wait and see with the draft. Atlanta could tank the draft. New Orleans could tank. And Carolina could have a heck of a draft. So we'll see what happens. But early reaction is, I like to trade for both teams. That's pretty much all I got. I got another video dropping soon talking about the top 5 free agency moves, or not free agency, but the top 5 off-season moves so far in the 2021 off-season. Stay tuned for that. But that's the video, guys. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Make sure you follow my Twitter at media_Hernandez. Follow my Instagram at mystic_rich. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the noties. Make sure you comment. Tell me if you like this trade for one side more than the other. Tell me what you think both teams should do in the draft. And once again, I appreciate the support, and we out.